Hello, friends. Thanks for your patience. We were dealing with a couple of technical glitches, but I think we got them all under control. Greetings to all of you across America and also to our friends in Canada. I am your host, Bernard Hernandez, and I am Chief Information Officer with DM&A. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Friday to join us. We have an exciting webinar in store for you, introducing current trends into your cafe, utilizing the Action Stations concept. We have a very special guest, Chef Mary Locke from Nestle Professional, and our very own Chef Jeff Groch from DM&A. Before we begin, I have just a few housekeeping logistics. During the webinar, the phones will be on mute and you will be in listen-only mode. There will be a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. In order to ask a question, simply type it in using the questions box in your GoToWebinar control panel. So please take a second to locate that. You can type a question anytime during the webinar, and we will answer as many as we can during the Q&A session. Those that we don't get to, we will reply via email after the webinar. We will be sending out a post-webinar email, which will include your CEU certificate. I was able to get CEU approval for RDs, CDMs, and CECs. We also will have a link to the recording, the webinar handout, and other resources that will be shared today. And you'll receive this webinar email by Monday. Also, if you're interested, you can download the handout PDF from your control panel under the documents or handouts section. I am very excited to introduce our very special guest, Chef Mary Locke from Nestle Professional. Chef Mary has worked in the food service industry for more than 30 years, perfecting her craft as executive chef with a multitude of restaurant concepts. Her career blossomed at Aramark, where she oversaw food service operations for 18 units and was promoted to associate district manager. For the past 4 years, Chef Mary has been corporate chef at Nestle Professional. The pleasure of her job as a chef is the chance to discover and appreciate flavors when working with operators. Nothing makes her happier than to spend some time in the kitchen helping to create the next best meal, one that a chef is proud to serve. We also have our very own Chef Jeff Groch. Chef Jeff is a success coach with DM&A, providing exceptional food service and culinary training and coaching. He is experienced in all aspects of exceptional food service, including healthcare, hotels, fine dining, and convention center venues. Chef Jeff is extremely skilled at creating innovative diets and transitioning recipes, purchase specifications, and production to promote successful menu adaptation. With DM&A, Chef Jeff has implemented food service transformations, bringing new energy and drive to operations. So without further ado, please welcome Chef Jeff and Chef Mary. Take it away, Jeff.
Thanks, Bernard, and welcome, Mary.
Good afternoon.
Yes. I'd like to start off today just by thanking you for showing up and talking to us today. We've met in the field several times, and Nestle is doing some very exciting things. So I'd like to recognize that today, and also that fact that you're coming here today with us. I know you're very busy, been on the road. To start off, I'd like to talk a little bit about the whole concept of right now. What are we seeing right now in terms of trends, retail trends across the country? What kind of innovations have you seen out there with individuals in their operation?
Well, trends are a very important thing for us here at Nestle, and we have a lot of people just dedicated to studying trends, doing trends workshops, and figuring out what's the next best thing. So currently, we're looking at plant-forward items, alternative proteins. Those are everywhere. Veg-centric dishes, mashups, infusions are still very popular. A couple new buzzwords that were old buzzwords, they're back. Bites, frizzles, hay, straw, that kind of thing. Avocado everything, that's on every menu. So some of the things are what's old is new again. So I know you've heard the straw and hay terms before, frizzles, but they're back again. So what goes around comes around with trends. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, well, certainly. And then right now, everybody that buzzword is action stations. And currently, if you sit there and you try to define an action station, what exactly defines an action station now in retail?
Well, I think an action station means just an endless way to signalize everything. So it's a made-for-me station. Today's diners are looking for the food experience. They're looking for variety. They're looking to be healthy. It's got to be convenient. It's got to be flexible and fast. And it's also got to be sustainable. So action stations, I think, encompass that whole idea of it's made for me. It's what I want. I can customize it. And it's going to be my definition of what's health conscious to me.
Yeah, I mean, many years ago, health conscious was, nowhere to be seen. And in television, you can't find a commercial anymore that doesn't show the nutrient benefits of a product. Everything, it's not Special K anymore. The symbols we used to find on food used to just be for kosher. I mean, what kind of symbols are we seeing, and what kind of symbols is Nestle putting on their packaging now?
Well, I think gluten-free, has been around a few years. I think it's here to stay. No wheat. That's very important to people. There's a lot of wheat-free diets. High fructose corn syrup is very important as well. That's being taken out of everything. Organic is still big, but in my opinion, local and where it's sourced at, they're catching up quickly. There's regionalization. I think that's replacing terms like artisan, like you'd see before, artisan breads and artisan cheeses, that kind of thing. I think they're now being defined as regions. So non-GMO is still out there. No hydrogenated oils, excuse me. I mean, that's still big out there. Cholesterol free. I mean, years ago, nobody could eat eggs because of the cholesterol. And that's kind of flipped over, but people still want to see some of those cholesterol free symbols.
Yeah, so the consumer is really becoming much more aware of health. Nestle has done a lot with their products, and just to meet the demand, a lot of different ingredients that go in, as well as whole products that are prepared. Tell us a little bit about how do you see demand growing in not only healthcare, but the entire marketplace for wellness and health?
Well, clean ingredients is absolutely a thing, but it's also a buzzword too, I think, Jeff.
What is clean, Mary? That's a very good question.
Right. So what does clean mean to you? I mean, I think it's pretty subjective. I don't think there's any firm guidelines around what clean is. Clean could be to someone, no maltodextrins, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors. I mean, it really is a moving target on who defines what is clean. Recently, we've started to release all our new products with no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, using only natural cheeses, no high fructose corn syrups, that kind of thing. And then we've gone back into some of the tried and true products that Nestle has and cleaned those up a little bit. Deciding, some we announced that we have done that, but some stealth health, we're taking some of that out of there. So potassium sorbate is a big one for us now. That's being removed from all our flavor concentrates. That was just to inhibit, mold growth on something that was open. So things like that, we're working hard to get to our definition of clean. But again, I mean, clean means something different to just about every consumer, I would think.
Yeah, and a lot of people, for instance, the farm to table, local, they review that as being clean, non-processed, and as well as supporting the community. What have you seen out there in different cafes and other programs supporting farm to table or essentially local? For instance, I can tell you US Foods has symbols on their website now with behind products stating that items are local. How does Nestle support local and farm to table, and what have you seen out there?
Well, we're taking a look at where we produce a lot of things, where they're manufactured, where some of the ingredients are coming from. But I think most importantly, when it gets to the consumer and the operators are using that, sourcing the signage and getting the vendors to tell you where things came from. Like just a quick example, if you're you use a local dairy and it happens to be the voted number one milk in the state, or if you're using a local meat, or just really going back to your OPCO and saying, hey, where are you buying those potatoes from? They're very willing to tell you now. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, they weren't really willing to tell you where they got it from, but now it's such an important thing for both the operator and the consumer that it's very easy to find that out. And all it'll take is just putting that right on your signage. Hey, these were from Main Street, USA, or we got our milk from the number one milk producer in the state. Things like that, local bagels, all that kind of thing. I think we need to do a good job of telling people where we're getting this stuff because they really do want to know.
And Nestle has a full line of flavor enhancers and other support products to support local things. So you may, in an action station, feature some local vegetables or local meats, but then you could hinge off of that and then support your station with a lot of Nestle products to create flavor and variety, controlling staff, consistency of product, and all that, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Setting up your station, your action station with a couple items that have some buzzwords in them, a couple items that you can identify what the local producer is or where the region came from of what you're serving. I think that's very important. And the consumers are pretty educated. You know, a lot of the food television has really opened a lot of people's eyes about, what food is, where it comes from, what's important to them. And I think absolutely the younger generations are very interested in where their food comes from.
Yes. A big trend too is wheat and gluten-free. Action stations, they can have a variety of things. Let's say we want a dish, but we don't want gluten. We can have alternative items inside of that action station and substitute gluten items, such as instead of pasta, a wheat pasta, we could be substituting other pastas or ancient grains, vegetables. Tell us a little bit about Nestle, what they're doing. I know you're eliminating a lot of wheat and gluten type products from recipes, making things, once again, more consumer friendly to the whole.
Sure. And we've done, I think we have about 40 plus SKUs of items with no gluten in them that we have certified. So we third party certified them to be gluten free. So we also have a statement letter that anybody needs to see that we can send to you. But I think it's really important. And some of the things, obviously, that aren't necessarily going to be in a total gluten-free dish, but for example, buying one base without gluten in it makes that usable all across the board. So whether you're going to add a gluten-containing ingredient to that soup, or if you're going to identify that soup as gluten-free, it's much easier to do it if you just start out that way. So I think substituting gluten-free alternatives, I think it's a wonderful thing. That things like vegetable noodles and purees are very big right now. But the fact that someone can customize a dish to be gluten-free, let's say there's gluten on the station, maybe a pasta or something like that. If you can substitute that with a vegetable noodle or have your dish served on a grain and avoid the gluten, that goes right back to the beginning of the beauty of the whole thing is it's made for me.
Yes. So we just did an Italian bar, a pasta station. And anyways, in the station we had the noodled vegetables. In addition, we had the regular plain penne pasta. A lot of the consumers who maybe had come to this bar did not want the noodled or the whole wheat pasta. We were able to still have the other item, but that's the beauty of the action station is you can basically let them make decisions and offer alternatives to build that dish.
Absolutely. And you know what, Jeff, sometimes for me, I don't have any gluten issues, but if I'm looking at a nice sauce they're making at a station, I would often prefer to have that over a vegetable as opposed to a pasta.
Yeah.
So lots of people are eating that way.
One of the things we're incorporating in a lot of action stations now, like even in like our Asian action stations and stuff, aside from just your regular rice or even, noodles. We're moving into ancient grains. Right now, basically, it's a growing market. I mean, the use of grains in salads is big. Also, in hot bar action stations, we use it in our salad stations. Tell me a little bit about ancient grains and what you've seen out in the marketplace.
Well, I've seen a lot of people incorporating ancient grains into salads, into bowl dishes, into grain salads, that kind of thing. It's another alternative. Some of them contain protein, so it's another protein alternative. And it's very simple to do. You cook a grain or two, offer them a choice on your action station. You could have the pasta there and do barley instead of rigatoni, or say a couscous instead of a cavatappi. There's so many grains out there and so many things that people are exploring. It's very simple to cook them, chill them, put them on your action station if you're going to do that made to order, and incorporate that right into your dish.
Yeah, you ranked it there in one of the top food trends was the ancient grains. I mean, number 34, quinoa. I mean, a lot of people are putting that on farro. We're doing a lot of more stuff with farro for breakfast instead of oatmeal and stuff. In the action station, I mean, you just don't have to have ancient grains, though. I mean, that could be an alternative, or it could be incorporated with something else, like a brown rice mixed with a quinoa or something. What have you seen in terms of ancient grains, in terms of hot food on action bars and stuff like this? How have you been incorporating those?
Sure, I've seen some operators do ancient grain bowls, so they're going to have that ancient grain cooked on that station, whether they're holding it hot or cold, and then put a nice hot broth on it, or throw it in a saute pan, add some vegetables to it, cook that all together. You can do some really common ancient grains, and I use that term loosely, but I mean, things like people know what they are: farro, barley, that kind of thing. But the real ancient grains, spelt, bulgur, millet, yep, things of those nature, those you can toss in every once in a while, make that kind of a premium type offering, or mix it together and do your own ancient grain blend. There's a few good ones out there too that are very simple to cook, adding a nice broth to it to bring it a little more flavor to it. That's always very helpful.
And going back just to the action station, this could be a selection. You may have a protein, a vegetable, and you may have an ancient grain or a choice of another starch. So we're not forcing wellness on somebody. We're giving people opportunities to eat better or to experience ancient grains, but we're not forcing it on them. So the station is just, I'm sorry, if you don't like the ancient grains, you'll have to have a pizza.
Sure. I mean, the whole thing, it goes back to the simplicity of it, is it's a choice. So if you're choosing to eat that ancient grain, or choosing to use that healthy halo definition of what's healthy to you, then you can have that option. And if you don't, you can have, full flour pastas, more fats, and different heavier sauces. The whole idea is to make it for you and what you feel is the way you should be eating.
So the action station, once it's properly designed and laid out, is basically, it is for you. When you come up, you make your selections, you get your toppings, you get your sauces. It just takes the planning, the staging, and of course, incorporating items such as ancient grains to promote wellness or the perception of wellness.
Sure, and when you're setting up an action station, I know we have a slide later on this, but anything you're making in the back of the house that you're going to put in a 2-inch hotel pan and put out on a hot station, you can make into an action station. Anything you can put out there, it can be deconstructed and built in front of the customer.
Yeah, one thing I know that Nestle really excels in and all that stuff is ethnic flavors. I mean, you have a lot of different flavor bases, a lot of different RTU sauces that bring ethnic flavors in. That's very big, and that's probably one of the best things to do for an action station, is introduce an ethnic theme into it. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the flavor bases that you have that you incorporate into action stations that might bring some ethnic flavor and variety to them?
Sure, absolutely. So right now we have 10 flavor concentrates, heavily leaning on the Latin flavors, but we have a few roasted garlic, sun-dried tomato, herbs de Provence, just a few things that you can use that concentrate in a very simple +1 application. Make that an ethnic dish. Use the red chili adobo. Use a fire roasted jalapeno. Make a cilantro rice. Really simple, easy things to do that you might not either have the skill set or the time or the availability of materials to create that yourself. So that's exactly why we make those things, for that reason. It's not always easy to do that. And a lot of places don't have chefs or don't have a skilled labor force that are able to produce that. So this is exactly why we make what we do. It is for chefs to give them the opportunity to not roast a whole tray of garlic, or not dry your own tomatoes, or not use an herbs de Provence out of a jar. This is something that's very simple to use and adds flavor right on demand.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, when consumers come into a place and they like, for instance, everybody seems to have a taco bar out there, and they think, well, that's an ethnic thing. So imagine, if we had an Asian bar or something like this, and we actually themed it out, and you could theme out the cafe, put some decor around the bar, make it look very, very ethnic for that dish, representing the area and stuff. But the action station would allow you to maybe have something spicy or some toppings that are spicy. But if you wanted something mild, or you were afraid of something, you could still experience the action station, but you could tone it down.
Absolutely. And I would really recommend making that action station a rotating destination station, let's say. I hate to say this one, but Taco Tuesday, everybody's familiar with that, but make that station a pasta bowl Wednesday, an ancient grain every Thursday. You get the idea. That make it something craveable that people want to experience those flavors. Mondays, do an Eastern Mediterranean bowl, or have an avocado toast day. It's all about the choices, and you're going to create some buzz and create some excitement about that station. People are going to be seeking it out. So you want them to crave what you're going to have on that station.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about an action station, is you can have it be an Asian theme or Latin theme or something every Wednesday, but you can change the core ingredients in your action station. You can change out the proteins, the vegetables, any of that stuff. You can rotate it out, maintaining the same theme, but incorporating different flavors and proteins as you move along. So the consumer, the patron who works in the facility, in the hospital, who's frequently there, knows that, hey, on Wednesdays I'm coming down, because every Wednesday we do have a street taco day or something like this. And it's not always the same. There may be shrimp on it one day and chicken. There may be a choice, but certainly the action station leads to variety. So you can create awareness. Consumer patterns are really important. They know when to come down. They know what their expectations are. But using the flavor concentrates and the RTU sauces, and a lot of even some of the recipes for the cream sauces and all that, totally changed the station, even though it has the same designate, as being Asian Wednesday or something.
Absolutely, Jeff. Yep.
Now, a lot of people say, why salad stations? I mean, we've got a salad bar. Why would we have a salad station? What exactly are we doing? We've got this beautiful salad bar. We think it's the best in the world. But why would we do a salad station? I mean, it's huge. We do salad stations all the time, and people can't believe there's a line there for a salad station. Tell us a little bit about your experience and what you've seen out there in salad stations.
Sure. So, like your typical salad bar, salad station, it could be the same thing. They're timeless, but they don't necessarily have to be dated. You can change that up every day. You can use your whole breadth of the menu to put in that salad bar. Let's say you did an Asian station yesterday, and so taking that mise en place from yesterday's station, making that into a cold composed salad and adding that to your salad bar. Use your ancient grains, alternate the flavors, change up your salad dressings. There's all kinds of things that can be in salad stations, and especially if someone's we're talking about, making it healthy for me, or my definition of healthy. I can go up to that salad bar and I might have all greens and the light dressing, but you might go up there and say, I'd like this sliced steak and the blue cheese dressing. So it's so easy to make that customizable for someone, and it can be vegan, it can be vegetarian, it can be wellness, but it can be just made for them. So I think people's concern for how they eat is easily, all of those things are encompassed in the salad station. So deconstructing that, letting them have their choice, and picking what they're going to put into their salad makes it for them. You can incorporate the fresh. I mean, that's what people regard as fresh. Vegetables, produce. You can tag it as locally grown. You can do seasonal. So, I mean, there's so many options out there. You can make it something different every day, or you can have it that same every day. That's going to be a destination for people seeking that out.
Is this something that you normally would have a culinarian or somebody come out presenting, or one of the staff arranging, presenting, assembling for them? Is this something that you would need that, or could you do this as a standalone?
You know what, Jeff? You can do it both, and I have seen it done many places as both. If you don't have that FTE that day that can do that as an action station, you can lay that all out. Put some signage on top of that salad station. Hey, today's feature is the blue cheese beef steak salad, but they can go up there and customize it themselves. So that can be self-serve, or it can be the customer approaches and there's the FTE up there creating it just for them. So if they want the blue cheese but don't want the steak, they can have that as well.
Right, and then you can have several vegetarian, vegan things to substitute for the steak.
Absolutely.
And in some of the salad stations, we're doing a lot of different ones. And, there's so many listed on your website and all that. One that I really like is, the grilled steak, certainly, but the farmer's market one. Can you tell me a little bit about the farmer's market one? Because everybody wants to do a farmer's market. If you could take a farmer's market, incorporate that into your action station, and then give it kind of a farmer's market environment. Tell me a little bit about what you've seen going on in the field out there.
Absolutely. So very simply, farmer's market is any of the things that are available seasonally for you. So I'm in upstate New York. There's not a lot of farmers markets going on right now, but maybe down in Texas or maybe in California, then you have the availability of your farmers markets. We would do probably roasted root vegetables and some of the heartier, more textured grains, maybe the kales, that kind of thing. But maybe if you have the availability of some fresh tomatoes and some fresh beans, that kind of thing, cabbages, all that, that would be your seasonality piece of it. So again, it's super customizable. It can be anything you want it to be or anything that's available to you. So I love the idea of the farmer's market. I recommend that very, very often to folks that really want to use something that speaks fresh to the customer and seasonality.
And you can feature local farmers too, like a local purveyor of pork or chicken to come bring in their product. It's local. You could feature that as part of your farmers market display also, correct?
Absolutely. And if it's Farmer Brown's carrots or, down the street's potatoes, you can put that right on your signage and say, this was sourced within this amount of miles. I know a lot of operators do that. Let's say the 150-mile radius or the 200-mile radius. Well, sometimes that's hard depending on where you are in the country. So, that definition of local is your own. I had an operation that was produced in New York State, so that was our definition. But I know a lot of people do the mileage thing. But to you, you're going to make it your own. So if you want to show off who that local person you're sourcing from, it's a matter of signage, and it all falls under that farmer's market name.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen out there too, Mary, that we've done is we've actually, like, for instance, we had ratatouille on our action station as one of the selections. And we also had some different grains and some stuff like this. We actually created a brown bag with a handle with a recipe sheet on it and local sourced produce. And we actually sold that bag as a take-home thing too to accompany the farmers market. So not only are out there assembling dishes and showing the consumer what we have it also available that they can actually buy bags of the produce with all the recipe items in it, ready to go too, which really created some excitement.
That's an awesome idea. Mind if I steal that?
The bags have to say DM&A. Okay.
Got ya.
Well, you know, one of the big things is, and I know this is absolutely your favorite, is just the street food station. You guys do it very well. It's easy to do. It appeals to a lot of people. It can be light. You can get it with sides, or you can just get a single item. You can build it your own. Tell me a little bit about, you know, what the street stations. I mean, we've got so many. The Mediterranean, we've done a lot in certain areas. The American pub. I mean, that's not all wellness, but you can incorporate wellness into the American pub station too. Tell me a little bit about how we can put wellness into these street stations and exactly what is street food.
Well, sure. You're exactly right when you say that is my favorite station. I don't think you can get much hotter than street food these days. There's so many choices out there. Food trucks, all the ethnic foods are out there. People are crazy about them, and they're so easy to execute, especially with the vast amount of sauces and flavorings out there. I have seen so many different versions of this. Like, let's just take the American pub, like you mentioned, something as simple as macaroni and cheese. Everybody likes macaroni and cheese. Making that ethnic, adding a flavor concentrate, making it chipotle, doing country French, put a little herbes de Provence, something like that into that. You can make that any street food you want to. I just actually last week made a mac and cheese taco for a restaurant chain who I was just doing that as a filler just to show the product in another way, and they went for that. So there's, street food is so popular and so hot. I mean, something as simple as like a spicy chicken sandwich by David Chang from Momofuku. I mean, that in New York City, the line is down the street for that. I mean, it's cult-like following. And all the products we make, like the Latin concentrates with the +1 simplicity, I mean, that's your ticket to doing those so simply. Again, the cilantro lime rice, doing a chipotle shredded chicken, any type of crema. They're so easy to do.
Let's talk about a street taco bar. And that seems to be, I mean, everybody does the taco salad, but when we do street taco bars, oftentimes we can sell the tacos a la carte. We can sell them with sides. People can choose wellness sides. Also, people can choose lean products in their tacos. They could get, for instance, corn tortillas instead of flour, a grilled chicken breast instead of ground beef taco meat. Choose their toppings. Tell me a little bit about what a taco bar looks like when Nestle lays it out.
Sure. I mean, we have some set concepts that are really easy to follow that include, order guide, station setup, that kind of thing. But it goes across the whole breadth of the line. So you can start with a fire roasted jalapeno scrambled egg taco, beef, chicken, pork, fish, vegetarian. I mean, we have so many different sauces, picos, that kind of thing that you can create very simple +1 recipes. Roasted garlic, bay scallops, purple cabbage with cucumbers and jalapenos on a nice toasted corn tortilla. Very simple to execute, very few ingredients, and pretty on trend for folks that love the tacos.
And then, of course, your toppings that you incorporate, like the sour cream enhanced with flavor concentrates and stuff. That's just the icing on the cake, isn't it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mix one of the flavor concentrates into whatever sour cream you buy. Put that in a squirt bottle, and there you go. That's another buzzword. People love the drizzle. People love the crema, that kind of thing. And it adds to the drama of the station, the building there. It adds to, some of the action right there. It's finishing that taco with the crema.
Yeah. A lot of people talk about why we can't do action stations, and we've discussed some of them, such as staffing. We just don't have the staffing, but as we mentioned, it could be self-serve. Retail space. One of the things about I only have so much retail space and I don't have extra stations. I want to commit to this area because I need to serve everybody. But with options in an action station, you could really expand and really satisfy everybody. You may have more options than you currently have in a buffet. But basically the skill levels and the product availability. the skill levels, I think that's probably one of the biggest barriers. People are afraid that they're not able to execute it or complete all these things. How simple is it in your recipes and all this and your ingredients? How simple is it for a team to follow these and put that together?
Well, and we did take into consideration when we created this whole program that skill levels change. The space for that, your footprint could be 3 feet in one location and 15 feet in another. So it's a very simple way to satisfy all of those. Like we just said about the salad, if you don't have a full-time employee that's going to work that station, then you can lay it out. You can use your signage to say, here's how to, build your own salad. Or, one of my very favorites is a deconstructed chicken noodle soup. Now, every location makes chicken noodle soup in the back of the house. But if you have that employee, and even if you only have 3 or 4 feet, you can take that chicken noodle soup, deconstruct it, get a nice hot broth, a couple bowls with some diced cooked chicken, egg noodles, celery and carrots, maybe some fresh parsley, that kind of thing, and just build that soup right in front of the guest with a super hot broth, or pour it over the top, hand them that bowl of soup, and what's the contribution for, chicken noodle soup?
Yeah,
and being able to build that, you're just creating the value with that, and it was just made for them. So.
Well, and it's not even soup anymore. It's their creation.
Yeah.
When we do soup bars and stuff like this, it's not even the soup we said it was going to be by the time we've gotten done with it. And it can be vegetarian too sometimes.
Absolutely.
You can have a vegetarian broth, and they can take all the ingredients and put that in with some vegetarian options. How about this? We were showing right now on the screen, we're showing a small action station. I mean, this is a very concise little action station that you guys laid out. You told me a little bit about this, and this went over very well. But if you look at the space, I mean, we really don't have a lot there. We've just got basically one well, a variety of things on a counter. Can you tell me a little bit about how the station rolled out?
Absolutely. So this was a very small footprint again, and it's a banh mi station. So you can hit that sneeze guard to be able to have the customer serve themselves and create that for them, as they would like it, or you can have that FTE behind the counter slicing open that nice roll. That's actually just a chafer, so that's just a portable heat source for that pork. Put it on the bun, let them top it or top it for the guests. So we just wanted to show you that a super small footprint can be either self-serve or a manned station and still be very effective and very craveable for the customer. Now, if you could expand that a little bit, then maybe you could add a few other things to that banh mi. Maybe a house-made chip, maybe a plate of cookies, make it a full meal solution. But if you only have that little amount of space, you can still create a wow and still make the customer want to come to that station time and time again.
Yeah, that turned out very nice. One of the big things is seasonality. A lot of us like to change our menu seasonally. We want to incorporate things, but we have a successful action station. Obviously, if we want to go into a winter menu or get winter blends, for instance, we may incorporate roasted squash and things like those in the fall. How does your menu concepts with action stations and all that represent seasonality? I mean, what are some of the things that you can do for either holidays or fall or just theme days based on the season?
Sure. Well, I mean, seasonality and regionality per se is so different all over the country as far as what available produce there is, what time of year it is. I mean, it's funny you mentioned winter because I got 9 inches of snow last night in my house. But, taking that, maybe let's say that mac and cheese, and you do some toppings with it. You do a mac and cheese bar, and you do some nice fresh summer produce. But in the winter months, maybe you want to put some meat in there, or maybe something a little heartier. Make some beans, that kind of thing. So you can change that same dish. You can have it all year round at your stations and incorporate the 4 seasons in it. Get yourself a produce guide. Use what's in season. Take a look at your farmers markets. Take a look at some of the offerings that are close to you and what other places are doing, and incorporate that into the season that's current with what your station is doing.
Well, what's in season in terms of produce is usually the freshest, tastes the best, and the cheapest. So yeah,
Yep.
and we don't have to change. We can still have the staff trained on how to implement and construct an action station, but we can change ingredients based on season, still having the staff trained. It's almost like we want the consumer to know how to execute or how to come down, what they're going to expect in the cafe on Wednesdays. Well, we need the staff to also know the process and the setup and the layout of how to exhibit and to serve an action station. And we're able to incorporate different items in there without disrupting the staff flows.
Sure. And, I think if you were in tune to local and you're in tune to seasonality and sustainability, I mean, that gives your operation, in my opinion, immediate credibility. So, hey, in January in New York, we're not going to serve you a tomato because we know they're not going to be very good. But maybe in Southern California, the tomatoes are very good. So if you're in tune with that and you know that, your guests are going to see that.
Yeah. And you made a really good point, too, on holidays. I mean, let's say it's Mardi Gras and we have a Mardi Gras menu. We can deconstruct that Mardi Gras menu and make it an action station.
Absolutely. Yep. Bring it right out front. Make it a party. Make it something that people want to see that show.
Yeah, absolutely. And it changes the whole presence of it. So no longer is it just food in a pan. We're actually assembling it, making it custom for you. And it's just not another fish with another sauce. It's my sauce, my fish, my sides, my topping.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of opportunities with health and wellness. I mean, obviously, portion size, that stealth health. That's a really unique word, that stealth health. Can you tell me a little bit about stealth health? You mentioned it earlier.
Well, I mean, I think there's, let's say you're making a stealth health, well, let's say mac and cheese again for another example. So make half that pasta, half that cauliflower. So I know, a lot of people talk about they feed their kids that, or they hide the vegetables in the sauce, or make vegetable noodles, that kind of thing. I mean, that's something that maybe that mac and cheese is a big comfort food thing and it's not always associated with healthy, but you've just changed the nutritionals of that by taking out that pasta or using a lighter cheese and adding cauliflower or adding a vegetable to it. So it's the nutritionals changed by doing that, but I think some of the perceptions from some of the people eating it does not. So like it says there, it's positive nutrition, using a whole grain pasta, using a vegetable pasta, and just trying to improve upon that menu just by putting multiple products in it, or taking the ones that aren't necessarily the healthiest and making that change.
So like Mary, in mac and cheese, Nestle's mac and cheese, you use a whole grain pasta now, right?
We do have one. Yes, sure do. We do have a whole grain pasta, 1% whole grain. A lot of people I have served before didn't even realize it was whole grain.
We've tested it at several places and nobody knew it was whole grain. So in fact, we took it off the sign because people were afraid of it, but nobody knew that it was whole grain. It was very unique. Mm-hmm. So big thing is culinary presence. I mean, we all wear uniforms at work. We want to look our best. I can't think of a better way than an action station to bring the culinary team out front. They might only have to be out there for an hour, hour and a half at peak. They may be supported by other staff members. Just the whole perception of food changes with the culinary presence. Builds the whole venue. They don't have to be out there every day. It could just be for that station. Mary, what's your perceptions on that?
Well, I tell you, when in my operator days, we did a lot of pulling people out of the kitchen and creating the stations. And I have to say, for some of the people that have been there for years, there was some real hesitation about doing it. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it. And it took a little bit for some of them to convince that, hey, you can make that same dish with less work out in front of the customer than preparing, 30 pans of a 2-inch hotel pans. So, I mean, I would say, take a look at your staff. Do you have some natural cooks? Put them out front, make it fun. Some people, one of my guys, for instance, the one that was the most resistant for the whole thing, once we got him out there, I mean, that guy was a superstar. He loved it. He loved talking to the customers, building rapport with everybody, and people came in to see him. And I think that just totally ramps up the engagement of the employee. If they're out there talking, and, you know, people cook because they want to. I mean, it's a very intimate way of showing, you know, how much you want to please somebody. You make them a great meal. Everybody likes that. So,
and everybody likes watching food shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and I found it to be extremely motivating when we execute action stations in the cafe with the culinary team. So it can really change the dynamics and their perception of work.
Absolutely. Dress up the station, you know, make it easy to find. It needs to be clean and simple. And, you know, there's some oversight for some stress points, of course, during service, but make that cook who was in the back the whole time, pull them out front and make them a superstar.
Yeah, and the action station lets them shine. A lot of merchandising can go into an action station. You got to let people know it's there, awareness. It could be the intranet, signage around. Just you really should have point of sale signs, even down to point of sale signs, you know, that depict days coming up in the future, building it up like coming Tuesday. Nestle has a lot of stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about Nestle's merchandising tools that you have?
Sure. So you're looking at some point of sale for like a fresh, it could be fresh market right there, or for your salad bar, being able to customize some signage. I mean, people don't always read, but if you see a sign that's just, you know, type on a blank page with a minimal description, that's not going to be very eye-catching. But if you put something out there that you can customize, you know, you're eating smart, it starts here, it's your choice, or where wellness is your choice. And being able to put a few things in there about, hey, today we have this great salad, or we have Farmer Brown's carrots, or your chef for the day is going to be, you know, one of your folks from the back, put their name out there. Hey, Joe's the chef for today. I mean, people are going to look at these. They're bright, they're fresh, they're clean, and just, you can put this online if you guys have, you know, online menus where you advertise, or maybe some of you guys even have an app. Post the menus. You can do email blasts, you know, put things on the floor, create a loyalty card, and people are going to want to come in and see that sign, and it just shows off the dish you're going to serve them.
Yeah, and you certainly want to look professional, because the contractors all have this. And if we develop ongoing action stations, the same theme we can really develop, as well as source good merchandising tools that, you know, if the sign looks professional, you imagine the food's going to be just as good. We eat with our eyes, and the sign is the first indicator.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the big things too is I know on your website you've got a few resources for signage and stuff like this.
Certainly.
Tell me a little bit about that too, and I know the link will be up later for your site.
Sure. So we have a few out there, Jeff. NestleActionStations.com is one of our websites that you can find all these tools on there. That is something that we would have to register you for. It's completely free to you, but we'd have to register you and get you a password so you can go on and look at the menu concepts. There's a wellness menu planning calendar in there. There's station guidelines. There's order guidelines on there. Some of the signage is on there that you can see. And pull all those down, download it to your desktop, use that every day. There's all kinds of recipes on NestleProfessional.com. There's all the nutritionals, concept ideas, product specs. We also have Flavor Means Business, which has some chef blogs on there. Again, the product specs, there's ideas there. We do, sometimes we do a contest on there, and all kinds of fun ideas. There's trend reports on there. That's a great resource to use as well.
And it's great. And it shows you some of the professional merchandising stuff that's out there too, and there's quite a lot. Speaking of signage, nutritional, I mean, a lot of times on an action station, we'll list what the healthy wellness bowl would be, and then have, and then what the nutrient content of that wellness bowl is. So you can still say, hey, here's my healthy wellness dish of the day. Here's the ingredients in it. Here's what the metrics are for your determined nutritional values that you want to display. But then you can also have another column and have things on the bar that says use with caution. And that's big. I mean, we're seeing a lot of nutritional signage appearing up everywhere. The point of sale station, the point of sale sign at the station is probably where you're going to see that the most. And even on video boards, most of these concepts are ideal to have a wellness item out there in a wellness bowl or a dish, but still offer comfort foods or things that don't fit the wellness profile. One of the other things too is receipts. You're seeing a lot of receipts that will actually tell you when you ring up. So wellness is, what the wellness content was of your purchases. So wellness is everywhere, and we just need to incorporate that in our signage. That's probably, as you travel around in healthcare, Mary, you've probably seen a lot of that, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And people want to know the nutritionals. They want it right in front of their, right in front of them to see. A lot of people put it right on the station signage. There's some locations have books. Many, or most have it online. And a lot of people use either logos or icons on their station signage to say, hey, this is vegetarian, or this is our health and wellness dish of the day, that kind of thing. So
gluten-free.
Yep. All of the symbols, gluten-free, kosher, all of that. People want to see that.
Well, of course, the next thing is sales tracking and success metrics. One of the biggest things to show administration or wellness committees or anybody in the facility is where you started off and tracking purchases. With point of sale systems, you can obviously put in the wellness items for the day, and you can track your sales for the entire cafe. So even right down to bottled water versus sugared waters, incorporating your POS system and running a report and determining what percentage of your sales are wellness and what percentage are not wellness, with the goal being that you move towards wellness and things. So action stations can really help incorporate your main entrees into the wellness profile, but still allowing people choice. So if you have any questions, go to the control panel at this time.
All right, thank you so much, Chef Jeff and Chef Mary. Thanks for sharing all these innovative ideas and the excitement that it brings with action stations. I remember last year at Good to Best, Chef Mary and the Nestle team, for the welcome reception, we did the walking tacos action station, and it was very delicious, very fun, and it caused a lot of excitement, and our attendees loved it. So looking forward to that again this year with Nestle and Chef Mary being at Good to Best this year. Folks, at this time, we'll do question and answer for about 5 to 10 minutes or so. So if you do have a question, please type it into your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll answer those at this time. So Chef Mary, can you see the questions on your end?
I can see some small ones in there, barely in there. What does NHW stand for? Nutrition, Health, and Wellness. That's what that stands for.
There's a good question there on omelet bars. We do a lot of omelet bars as action stations. I mean, a lot of times we'll set up an action station where the person comes, we'll give them a certain size bowl. We'll let them fill up the bowl with all the ingredients they want. They take it over to us, and we finish and prepare the omelet based on the selections that they chose in their bowl. But they picked out everything they wanted in their omelet. We might put out 5 ingredients. We might put out 20 ingredients. Whatever fits in the bowl can go right into the action station, right into their omelet. We prepare it to order, but it's controlled by the size of the bowl.
Right. Very simple, just like a Mongolian grill. You walk through, put everything that you want in your stir fry in that bowl, hand it to the employee, and they can saute it up for you. Let me see. How do you price out an action station? I think that's what it's supposed to be, price out an action station. We do ours as a weighted item. Well, that's kind of hard to do with that, but again, you could take the average of what the highest item is on there, like say the protein, and try to average that out over your pricing, or do it as a standard, like this dish is, let's say $7.99 a person. And then if you have someone running that station, they can control the amount of protein and the amount of ingredients that goes in there, or limit it, say, hey, pick any 3 items or pick any 5 items and it's going to be X amount. That's the way I would recommend how to do it.
Yeah, we usually like to control the protein items in the station. So they may, for instance, be able to pick and choose whatever they want, but we would actually then finish the protein item and serve them the protein item to control cost.
Sure. There's one.
Also,
what were some tips for overcoming the hesitant customer to try something new to them? I mean, again, creating that excitement around it, doing a show for the customer, get your best and most forward employees out there that want to talk to the customers. A sampling, you can do a little sample in a 2-ounce cup and say, hey, today we're going to do this new fun protein or this new produce, and you want to sample it first and get them to taste it before they buy it. That would be an easy way to do it. I love the loyalty card idea. You can eat at our destination station, buy 10 times, get 1 free, on that kind of thing. Go ahead.
Another big thing, Mary, is a lot of people feel that their cafe prices are very low if they're going to put anything in that costs a bit more. But how do you drive price? You can drive it with perceived value. So an action station can incorporate new items, different choices and all this, but we're changing the perceived value of the consumer. They're feeling like they're getting more. They're getting more service. They're building their own. So being able to change perceived value, you may be able to nudge and push prices up on that action station. A lot of people discount wellness. Well, you can actually maybe increase the price instead of discounting it if you increase the perceived value, and action stations can certainly do that. It's just not food in a pan. You're building it, you're being served, it's being constructed. So that's another thing with cost. It may cost more, it may actually cost less in some cases, but you can drive perceived value and then likewise drive price.
Absolutely.
So let's see, do we
see one here? Can the slides be made available? I think you're sending that out, or you're recording this, right?
That is correct.
Yep.
Yes, I think that's all we have for questions. If you guys think of any more, you can reply to the post-webinar email that will be sent out, and Chef Jeff and Chef Mary can answer those questions offline. And any questions that are pertinent to the entire group, we'll send that out to everybody. All right, Jeff, if you can advance to the next slide, please.
Yep. And there's the Destination 10 and Nestle contacts, which will also go out on the slideshow.
And friends, it's not too late to sign up for Good to Best. Good to Best is going to take place March 16th through 18th at the Paradise Point Hotel in San Diego. So in about 2 weeks, about 300 of your colleagues and friends will be here in San Diego. It's 3 days of inspiration, motivation, education, and networking with your peers in a casual, relaxed environment. Or if you just want to get out of the cold, come to San Diego. Chef Mary mentioned she got some good snow over there on the East Coast. Chef Mary and the Nestle team will be here in San Diego in 2 weeks. And they'll actually be preparing some great food for our welcome reception on Thursday evening, as well as the Friday evening happy hour event on Friday evening. So we're looking forward to seeing Chef Mary and the team here in just a couple of weeks. 17 CEUs for RDs, CDMs, and CECs. You can see there below our 3 keynote speakers for each of the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so it's not too late to sign up. I do have to caveat by saying that the hotel is sold out, so you might have some trouble getting in with that, but we will help you with that and put you on a waiting list. If there's any cancellations from the hotel or whatnot, we can start taking a waiting list for that and putting you into those rooms. So there is some issue with that we will help you with, but it's not too late to sign up, and hope you can attend. And for those of you that aren't familiar with DM&A, we are a healthcare food service consulting company, but we're more than just consultants. We're coaches. We're in there in the trenches with you, and we work with you side by side to help you receive the best to help you get to the 10 level and help you achieve success. So for those of you that aren't familiar, here's just a little bit of what we have to offer. You know, you don't know what you don't know in your department. So we offer operational assessments to help you gauge where your department's at. And as a special for being a part of this webinar, we do have a special offer for webinar attendees, $500 off an operational assessment. And in the post-webinar email, we'll send out a link for you to take advantage of that special if you're interested. We also help with room service so that you can have a successful room service implementation, or if you already have it, we can help you with a room service tune-up to make sure you're getting the most out of your room service program. We offer interim staffing. If you have a gap in management positions, you never know when you might have an unexpected leave of absence. We can help with contract to self-op if you're going through that. If you want to help with your culinary presence, as Jeff mentioned, we offer food service uniforms in partnership with Happy Chef. We can help you look good and save you money with competitive pricing. We also have a Stella Cloud solution, which is a food management software, which is ideal for small and rural hospitals. And you can check out all of our services online at destination10.com, or you can reply to the email that we'll be sending out after this webinar. Friends, by Monday, you will receive a post-webinar email from me, which will contain today's presentation handout, a CEU certificate for 1 CEU for RDs, CDMs, and CECs, a link to the webinar recording that you can share with your colleagues or watch again, a registration link for Good to Best, a link to take advantage of the operational assessment special, and contact information for Chef Mary and Nestle Professional. Friends, if you have any immediate needs or require any support whatsoever, please don't hesitate to contact us for a free consultation with Chef Jeff or one of our excellent success coaches. There is no obligation to have a conversation. We are here to serve you and to help you be successful. Thanks again to our presenters, Chef Mary from Nestle Professional and Chef Jeff, for showing us how to utilize action stations to build retail excitement in our cafes. You both did an excellent job.
Thank you.
On behalf of Mary, thank you so much, Chef Mary. On behalf of Mary, Jeff, and myself, thank you for attending our webinar. Have a blessed Friday and an amazing weekend. Goodbye, everyone.
Likewise, goodbye.